Barron Trump had always been known for his quiet demeanor and thoughtful nature. Growing up in the spotlight of one of the most prominent families in America, Barron was constantly under scrutiny. The media's fascination with him had often overshadowed his personality, focusing more on his last name than on his individual pursuits and ideas. Yet, despite his reserved nature, Barron's mind was always active, considering the implications of modern technology, social media, and its impact on his generation. By 2025, Barron was finishing his high school education at an elite institution, one that offered a rare blend of academic rigor and real-world opportunities. However, it was outside the confines of textbooks where Barron began to shine. He was particularly passionate about technology, data privacy, and the effects of digital culture on youth mental health. One day, as Barron scrolled through social media, he noticed an overwhelming surge of articles, memes, and debates around a proposed TikTok ban in the United States. While most of his peers were reacting with outrage or resignation, Barron was unusually calm. He knew that while TikTok had become a defining part of the youth culture, it was not without its complications. The U.S. government, citing concerns over national security due to TikTok's Chinese ownership, had set in motion plans to ban the app. This sparked a massive uproar among millions of TikTok users, who feared losing a valuable platform for self-expression, entrepreneurship, and creativity. But Barron understood both sides of the issue. The concerns over data privacy and national security were valid, but banning an app that had become integral to many young people's lives seemed like an overreaction. As the debate raged on, Barron found himself increasingly frustrated by the lack of dialogue between the various stakeholders, the government, tech companies, and young users. He could see that many young people felt misunderstood. On one side, there were the government officials concerned about national security, and on the other, the millions of teens and young adults who saw TikTok as a lifeline for creative expression and entrepreneurship. Barron knew that a one-size-fits-all solution was not going to work. With his characteristic thoughtfulness, Barron began developing a proposal that would seek a middle ground, something that could address the security concerns while ensuring that the platform remained available for its millions of users. He began writing, researching, and speaking to cybersecurity experts, digital policy analysts, and even TikTok users, in an effort to understand the full scope of the issue. At a family dinner one evening, Barron finally shared his thoughts with his father. The conversation was unexpectedly calm. "Dad, I've been thinking about the TikTok situation," Barron began. "Instead of banning it outright, we could implement regulations that ensure the platform adheres to stringent privacy rules. We could work with TikTok to implement data protection standards, create transparency around its data practices, and promote digital literacy so users understand the risks." His father, impressed by Barron's well-reasoned approach, gave him a thoughtful nod. "That's an interesting perspective, Barron," he said. "Why don't you take this idea and see if you can get others on board?" Barron's proposal wasn't just about protecting the interests of young people, it was about shaping the future of digital spaces. He understood that technology wasn't going away, and that society had to figure out a way to live with it responsibly. Armed with a plan and an undeniable passion, Barron took to social media, not with the intention to fight, but to educate and bring people together. His first step was to address the youth of America directly. In a carefully crafted video message, Barron said, "Hey, everyone. I know a lot of you are upset about the idea of TikTok being banned. I get it. This platform has helped so many of us express ourselves, raise awareness for causes, and connect with others in ways that were once unimaginable. But, at the same time, there are real concerns that we can't ignore, about data privacy, security, and the influence of foreign governments. But here's the thing, I believe we can find a way to keep TikTok, while also addressing those concerns. It's not about taking something away from us, it's about finding a better way to live with the technology we've grown so attached to." His message resonated. Soon, hashtags like #BalanceSolution and #YouthForChange were trending on Twitter and Instagram. Young influencers, who had built their brands and careers on TikTok, began to lend their voices to the cause. They spoke of the importance of privacy, but also of the value TikTok provided, both as an entertainment platform and as a business opportunity for young entrepreneurs. Barron wasn't just sparking a debate, he was creating a movement. The national conversation soon reached a critical point. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle were divided, with some advocating for an immediate ban, while others pushed for regulation and oversight. Barron, feeling the weight of the responsibility, agreed to participate in a series of high-stakes roundtable discussions with government officials, cybersecurity experts, and representatives from TikTok itself. The discussions were intense, with each party presenting their concerns. On one side, government officials cited the risks of data breaches and the threat of foreign influence. On the other, TikTok's representatives emphasized their commitment to transparency and user privacy, outlining the steps they were already taking to protect data and comply with local regulations. Barron, despite being the youngest person in the room, remained composed. "This isn't about one side winning over the other," he said during one particularly heated exchange. "This is about collaboration. We all have the same goal, to ensure that technology serves us, not the other way around. Let's focus on creating a solution that works for everyone." His words had a profound impact. Barron's ability to bring people together, despite their differences, became one of the key reasons why a compromise was eventually reached. After weeks of negotiations and compromise, Barron's vision began to take shape. Instead of an outright ban, the U.S. government and TikTok agreed on a set of new regulations that would address privacy concerns and ensure the app's compliance with U.S. data protection laws. Under the new agreement, TikTok would be required to disclose detailed reports on its data practices, including how user data was stored, accessed, and used. An independent oversight board would be established to ensure compliance with these standards. Additionally, the platform would introduce new features aimed at educating users on digital privacy and security, as well as promoting mental health awareness related to social media use. Barron's role in these negotiations was pivotal. His calm demeanor, balanced approach, and deep understanding of both the tech industry and the needs of young users made him the perfect mediator. He had successfully bridged the gap between two very different worlds, government policy and digital culture, and helped to create a solution that worked for everyone. The resolution of the TikTok issue had far-reaching consequences. Barron's efforts became a case study in how to balance national security with digital freedom, and his advocacy for tech accountability in digital literacy set a new standard for how young people could engage in the policymaking process. But the impact didn't stop there. Barron became a leading voice in discussions about the future of technology and its role in society. Universities, think tanks, and even tech companies sought his insights. Barron was invited to speak at conferences, panel discussions, and universities across the nation, where he shared his experiences and ideas on how to build a better, more responsible digital future. He also launched initiatives to promote digital literacy and youth advocacy, empowering young people to understand and navigate the complexities of the digital world. His work inspired a new generation of leaders who were not only tech-savvy but also equipped with the tools and knowledge to protect their online privacy and digital well-being. As the years passed, Barron looked back on his journey with a sense of pride. His work had helped shape the way people viewed the intersection of technology, privacy, and policy. He had proven that even in a world full of complexity and division, it was possible to find common ground and create meaningful change. But Barron's greatest lesson was one that transcended politics and technology. It was the power of youth to affect change. He had shown that, with a clear vision, perseverance, and a commitment to listening and understanding, young people could shape the future in profound ways. Barron's legacy, in the end, wasn't just about the policies he helped enact, it was about the spirit of collaboration and innovation he fostered in others. His story became a symbol of what could be achieved when people came together with the shared goal of building a better future. As Barron Trump's legacy continued to grow, his influence reached beyond the TikTok debate. His efforts had not only resolved one of the most pressing issues of the time but had also sparked a broader conversation about the role of young people in shaping policy, especially regarding technology and its societal impacts. While Barron had started as a quiet observer, his work on the TikTok issue turned him into a key player in tech policy. He found himself at the forefront of conversations about the future of digital platforms, user privacy, and the responsibilities of tech companies. Media outlets, who had once focused solely on his family's name, now turned their attention to his ideas, seeing him as a thought leader and innovator in the ever-evolving tech landscape. This transformation was no accident. Barron had always been a deep thinker, someone who spent hours reading about the complexities of technology, privacy laws, and social media dynamics. But it was his ability to empathize with people, particularly the youth, that allowed him to connect the dots in ways others couldn't. He had seen firsthand the potential for positive change that social media platforms like TikTok offered, but also understood the need for balance and accountability. During this period, Barron sought the advice of mentors who had experience in policy, technology, and public service. Many of these individuals were surprised by Barron's maturity and depth of knowledge. He wasn't just a politician's son, he was someone who genuinely cared about making the world a better place. One of Barron's most influential mentors was a former senator who had spent years working on digital policy. The senator had witnessed firsthand the way technology could shape public opinion and influence political outcomes. Over long discussions, the senator guided Barron on how to approach policy from a holistic standpoint, considering both short-term solutions and long-term implications. "Young people like you have the power to drive change," the senator said one evening, as they sat discussing the intersection of technology and politics. "But you need to understand that the work doesn't end when the legislation is passed. The real change happens when you're able to engage communities and inspire the next generation of leaders." This advice resonated with Barron. He realized that his journey was only beginning. While the TikTok issue had been a major milestone, there were many more challenges to face, and he wanted to ensure that his impact was lasting. Inspired by the lessons he had learned, Barron decided to expand his focus beyond digital privacy and TikTok. He began working with organizations that focused on promoting digital literacy among young people, teaching them about the importance of online privacy, security, and the ethical use of technology. Barron believed that education was the key to empowering the next generation of tech-savvy, responsible citizens. In addition to his work with digital literacy programs, Barron also focused on fostering entrepreneurship within the tech space. He knew that young people were the innovators of tomorrow and wanted to ensure that they had the tools and knowledge to create responsible, forward-thinking technology. He partnered with tech startups, offering guidance on how to develop solutions that prioritized user privacy and ethical considerations. "Technology should be a force for good," Barron often said. "It should empower people, not exploit them. We need to build a digital future that is as safe, ethical, and inclusive as it is innovative." As Barron's influence grew in the United States, it soon began to stretch across borders. He was invited to speak at international conferences, where he shared his experiences in navigating the complex intersection of technology, policy, and youth culture. Barron spoke to audiences in Europe, Asia, and Latin America, urging governments and tech companies alike to work together to create a safer, more accountable digital world. He became a strong advocate for global digital policies that prioritized data protection, online safety, and the prevention of misinformation. Barron was particularly passionate about ensuring that young people's voices were included in these discussions. "The digital world isn't just a tool for entertainment or communication," he said at one international summit. "It's a space where young people are shaping their futures, their identities, and their communities. We need to make sure that space is safe and empowering for them." His words resonated with leaders and activists from around the world. Barron was invited to join a global coalition focused on advancing digital rights, where he worked with other young leaders, tech experts, and policymakers to push for international agreements on data privacy, ethical technology use, and online education. By the time Barron graduated from college, he had already achieved more than most could imagine in a lifetime. His work on digital policy, youth advocacy, and tech accountability had transformed him into a global leader in the conversation about technology's role in society. But Barron wasn't interested in resting on his laurels. He understood that there was always more work to be done. His next step was to found a non-profit organization focused on promoting digital literacy, ethical tech development, and youth empowerment. The organization aimed to bridge the gap between young people, policymakers, and tech companies, ensuring that the next generation had both the skills and the knowledge to navigate the digital world responsibly. Through his organization, Barron launched initiatives to train young people in tech innovation, empowering them to create solutions that would address real-world problems. He also worked with schools and universities to incorporate digital ethics and privacy lessons into their curriculums, ensuring that future leaders would be equipped with the tools to make ethical decisions in a digital world. As Barron sat in his office, looking out over the bustling city below, he reflected on how far he had come. His journey had started with a simple idea to resolve the TikTok issue, but it had grown into something far more meaningful. Barron had become a catalyst for change, inspiring a new generation of leaders to take responsibility for the future of technology and its role in society. Barron's story had shown the world that leadership wasn't about titles or power, it was about making a difference, no matter how big or small. It was about using your voice and your platform to advocate for a better world, even when the path ahead seemed unclear. Barron had faced countless challenges, but each time, he had persisted, driven by his belief that a better, safer digital future was possible. His legacy was not defined by the success of the TikTok negotiations alone, it was defined by the lasting change he had inspired. Through his work, Barron had proven that one person, even a young person, could make a profound impact on the world. As Barron's influence continued to grow, he became a symbol of hope for young people everywhere. His story reminded them that they had the power to shape the future, whether through activism, innovation, or collaboration. Barron's journey demonstrated that no matter how young or inexperienced you might feel, your voice mattered, and your actions could spark real change. And as the world continued to evolve, Barron remained at the forefront of the conversation, a tireless advocate for a digital future that was secure, ethical, and empowering for all. As Barron's reputation as a digital rights advocate grew, he became a mentor for countless young people eager to follow in his footsteps. His efforts to bridge the generational divide between the tech-savvy youth and traditional policymakers made him a natural leader for the next wave of digital innovators. He began hosting workshops and conferences designed specifically for young people interested in tech policy, digital ethics, and the intersection of technology in society. Through these events, Barron emphasized the importance of civic engagement, encouraging the youth to not only understand the technology they used but to also take an active role in shaping the rules that governed its use. It's not enough to just be consumers of technology, Barron often told his audiences. You have to be creators, innovators, and responsible citizens in the digital age. We can't expect others to make the decisions for us, we need to take charge of our future. His words resonated deeply with young people around the world, many of whom felt that the voices of their generation had often been sidelined in discussions about tech regulation and online safety. Barron's message empowered them, showing them that they, too, could make a difference. As Barron's organization continued to grow, he focused on creating a community of like-minded innovators who shared his vision for a responsible and inclusive digital future. His nonprofit provided young people with the tools and resources they needed to start their own tech projects, encouraging the development of apps and platforms that prioritized user privacy, mental health, and positive social impact. One of the standout projects that Barron helped launch was a collaborative platform that allowed young people to submit ideas for new tech products that address societal challenges such as climate change, mental health, and education inequality. The platform quickly gained traction, and young developers from all over the world began to submit innovative ideas. Barron and his team offered mentorship and resources to help these ideas come to life, turning them into tangible products that could make a real difference. This initiative not only sparked a wave of youth-led innovation but also highlighted Barron's commitment to nurturing the potential of young people to solve some of the world's most pressing problems through technology. Understanding the influence of media in shaping public opinion, Barron also became an advocate for responsible journalism in the digital age. He believed that media outlets had a responsibility to educate the public about technology and its implications in a way that was balanced, factual, and accessible. Barron began to collaborate with journalists and media organizations, offering his insights into the ethical use of social media and the importance of verifying information before spreading it. In a series of interviews and articles, he spoke about the dangers of misinformation and how digital platforms could be used for positive social change if they were properly regulated and monitored. The media plays a critical role in shaping how we view the digital world, Barron explained in one interview. It's up to us to ensure that information is accurate and that we're not just feeding into the chaos of misinformation. We need to use the power of the media to educate, inspire, and bring people together for the greater good. Barron's advocacy for responsible media helped start a wider conversation about the ethical responsibilities of digital platforms, and many media outlets began incorporating digital literacy education into their coverage of tech issues. In addition to empowering young people and advocating for responsible media, Barron also worked closely with tech companies to ensure that they were developing products with ethics and accountability at the forefront. He became a vocal advocate for the idea that technology should serve humanity, not exploit it. His approach was based on the principle that innovation should be guided by ethical considerations that prioritized user well-being, privacy, and security. Barron hosted a series of roundtable discussions with tech executives, engineers, and ethicists, discussing how they could build technologies that aligned with ethical standards. He pushed for the inclusion of ethical reviews in the development process of tech products, ensuring that new technologies did not compromise user privacy or promote harmful behaviors. One of Barron's most significant achievements in this area was the establishment of an International Tech Ethics Council, which brought together experts from around the world to discuss and develop global standards for ethical tech development. The council focused on issues such as AI ethics, data privacy, user consent, and the responsible use of social media. This is just the beginning, Barron said at the launch of the Ethics Council. We have a long way to go, but if we can get this right, we'll be able to build a future where technology works for everyone and not just for a select few. As Barron's career progressed, he became increasingly aware of the growing mental health crisis among young people in the digital age. Social media platforms, while offering opportunities for connection and self-expression, also had a darker side. Cyberbullying, social comparison, and the pressure to present a perfect life online had taken a toll on many young people's mental well-being. Barron took it upon himself to address this issue head-on. He worked with mental health professionals to launch a series of programs aimed at raising awareness about the impact of social media on mental health. These programs focused on providing young people with tools to navigate the pressures of the digital world and prioritize their mental well-being. He also advocated for tech companies to take greater responsibility in addressing the mental health challenges posed by their platforms. Barron was a strong proponent of digital well-being features, tools that allowed users to monitor and manage their screen time, block harmful content, and take breaks when needed. We need to start thinking about technology the same way we think about food or exercise, Barron said during one of his talks. It's not about removing it from our lives, but about using it in a way that's healthy and sustainable. Barron's efforts to raise awareness about mental health in the digital age sparked a movement, with many other advocates, organizations, and tech companies joining him in his mission to prioritize user well-being in the design of digital platforms. As Barron Trump's career continued to flourish, he remained focused on his core mission, to empower young people to take control of their digital futures. He had become a champion for digital literacy, ethical technology, and mental health in the digital world, using his platform to amplify the voices of youth and drive meaningful change. But Barron's impact went beyond the work he did. He had become a symbol of hope for a generation that often felt overlooked and misunderstood. His story demonstrated that, no matter who you were or where you came from, you had the power to make a difference. Barron's legacy would live on in the countless young people he had inspired, the policies he had helped shape, and the digital future he had worked so hard to build, a future that was ethical, responsible, and empowering for all. As Barron looked toward the future, he knew that there was still much work to be done. But he also knew that he was not alone. The next generation of leaders, innovators, and activists was ready to carry the torch forward, continuing the work that Barron had started in building a brighter, more inclusive digital world for everyone. As Barron Trump stepped into the next phase of his career, the world around him was changing at an unprecedented pace. New technologies, from artificial intelligence to virtual reality, were shaping the way people lived, worked, and interacted with one another. The challenges Barron had already faced seemed small in comparison to what lay ahead. But his vision for a better, more ethical digital world remained unwavering. Barron was now working on a comprehensive initiative that aimed to address the next big issue in technology, the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, AI, and automation. As AI became increasingly integrated into daily life, from personal assistants to healthcare systems to autonomous vehicles, Barron recognized the need for a framework that ensured these technologies would be used responsibly and transparently. There's no doubt that AI holds immense potential to improve our world, Barron said in one of his keynotes. But we need to ensure that it's developed and deployed with integrity, with safeguards that prevent it from being used in ways that harm people or society. To tackle this, Barron spearheaded the creation of an international coalition of tech leaders, ethicists, and policymakers dedicated to developing ethical standards for AI. The coalition aimed to ensure that AI was built in a way that was transparent, accountable, and aligned with human values. Barron's approach was collaborative, bringing together voices from all corners of the globe to build a shared understanding of what ethical AI should look like. One of Barron's key contributions was the development of an AI ethics code that became a benchmark for companies and governments around the world. This code emphasized the importance of human oversight, transparency, and fairness in AI decision-making. It also addressed concerns about data privacy, ensuring that AI systems did not infringe on individuals' rights or expose sensitive information without consent. This code isn't about stifling innovation, Barron explained. It's about ensuring that as we push the boundaries of technology, we don't lose sight of the core values that make us human: fairness, accountability, and respect for privacy. Barron's work in AI ethics earned him recognition as a global leader in the field. He was invited to speak at major technology conferences, where he shared his insights on the future of AI and the importance of integrating ethical considerations into every stage of its development. His efforts helped inspire a new wave of AI researchers and developers who were committed to building technologies that were not only powerful but also responsible and human-centered. Barron's impact wasn't limited to ethical technology and digital rights. As he continued to grow in influence, he expanded his focus to include digital inclusion. With the rise of the digital economy, Barron recognized that millions of people, particularly in developing countries, lacked access to the tools and resources needed to thrive in an increasingly digital world. He launched a series of initiatives aimed at closing the digital divide, focusing on providing affordable internet access, digital literacy programs, and tech infrastructure to underserved communities. Barron understood that access to technology wasn't just a matter of convenience, it was a matter of opportunity. Technology is the key to unlocking economic growth, education, and healthcare, Barron said in a keynote address at a global summit on digital inclusion. But we can't leave people behind. We need to ensure that everyone, no matter where they live, has the opportunity to be part of the digital revolution. Through partnerships with governments, NGOs, and tech companies, Barron's initiatives helped bring digital connectivity to rural areas and low-income neighborhoods around the world. His work also focused on improving digital literacy, providing training and resources to help people navigate the online world and take advantage of the opportunities it offered. As Barron's journey continued, he remained steadfast in his commitment to digital rights. He knew that the challenges he had faced, from the TikTok ban to AI ethics, were just the beginning of a much larger fight for the future of the digital age. He was determined to ensure that the principles of fairness, transparency, and accountability would guide the development of digital technologies for generations to come. In 2035, Barron established a think tank dedicated to the study of digital rights, with a particular focus on the evolving relationship between technology, privacy, and freedom of expression. The think tank became a hub for researchers, policymakers, and activists working to address the most pressing issues of the digital age. It was also a platform for young people to get involved in the conversation, share their ideas, and contribute to the development of policies that would shape the future of technology. Barron's lifelong dedication to digital rights made him one of the leading voices in global tech policy. His advocacy for user privacy, ethical tech development, and digital inclusion continued to influence major decisions at both the national and international levels. As a result, Barron became known not only as a leader in technology but also as a champion of civil liberties in the digital age. As Barron neared the end of his career, he took great pride in the legacy he was leaving behind. He had helped shape the future of technology in ways that were responsible, inclusive, and empowering. But for Barron, the most important part of his legacy was the work he had done to empower the next generation of leaders, innovators, and activists. He had dedicated his life to making sure that young people had the tools, knowledge, and platform to make a difference. Whether through his mentorship, his nonprofit work, or his advocacy for digital rights, Barron had always believed in the potential of youth to lead the way in shaping the world. My greatest hope is that the young people who follow in my footsteps will continue the work I've started, Barron said in his final public address. The future is theirs to create, and I know that they have the passion, the ideas, and the determination to build a world that is better than the one we have today. Barron's words resonated deeply with young people everywhere. His story had shown them that they didn't need to wait for the right moment to start making change, they could start now, with the knowledge that their voices mattered, and that they had the power to make a difference. Barron Trump's journey had been nothing short of remarkable. From a quiet observer to a global advocate for digital rights, ethics, and inclusion, he had spent his life shaping the future of technology in ways that would benefit generations to come. His leadership, vision, and dedication to empowering others had left an indelible mark on the world. In the end, Barron's story wasn't just about one person's journey, it was about the collective efforts of young people, innovators, and activists coming together to create a better, more responsible digital world. His legacy was one of hope, empowerment, and the belief that technology could be a force for good. As the world continued to evolve, Barron's work remained a beacon of inspiration, showing that no matter how challenging the road ahead might seem, it was always possible to build a future that was ethical, inclusive, and filled with opportunity for all.